Edinburgh in the early 1700s rises from stone and shadow, a city poised between medieval inheritance and modern awakening. Built upon a volcanic spine of rock, crowned by the ancient castle, the city stretches downward along a narrow ridge toward Holyrood, its streets steep, compressed, and alive with sound. From above, it appears almost vertical, tall tenements stacked high, windows crowded together, smoke drifting upward into the cold Scottish air. This is not merely a city. It is a living organism, dense with ambition, anxiety, and change. At the dawn of the 18th century, Scotland stands at a turning point. The Act of Union in 1707 has bound it politically to England, dissolving the independent Scottish Parliament and relocating power south to London. For Edinburgh, the consequences are immediate and deeply felt. Once the seat of national sovereignty, the city now wrestles with loss and uncertainty. Yet within this tension lies the spark of transformation. What Edinburgh loses in political authority, it begins to reclaim in intellect, culture, and commerce. Daily life unfolds within the old town's cramped arteries, High Street, Cowgate, and the winds that twist downward like veins. The air carries competing smells: peat smoke, brewing ale, leather refuse. Chamber pots are emptied from upper windows, splashing into the streets below, while bells from St. Giles Cathedral mark the hours with solemn authority. Horses clatter over cobblestones, merchants shout prices, and sermons echo from kirks filled with stern-faced congregations. The city's population grows rapidly, pushing its medieval infrastructure beyond its limits. Space is scarce, forcing residents upward rather than outward. Tenements rise to astonishing heights, housing nobles and laborers under the same roof, wealth above, poverty below. A gentleman's apartment may sit several floors above a tradesman's workshop, and beneath them both, cellars shelter the poorest inhabitants, damp and dark. Politically, Edinburgh simmers with quiet resentment and guarded hope. Jacobite loyalty to the exiled Stuart monarchy still runs deep, especially among Highlanders and traditional clans. The city is a crossroads of ideology. Enlightenment thinkers debate reason and progress, while others cling fiercely to divine order and ancient rights. Taverns become arenas of argument, where lawyers, poets, and merchants discuss philosophy by candlelight, their words as sharp as the winter wind outside. Geography shapes every aspect of life. To the north lies the Nor Loch, a stagnant body of water serving as both natural defense and open sewer. Beyond it, open fields stretch toward what will one day become the new town. For now, these lands remain undeveloped, separating the old town from the promise of expansion. The city feels hemmed in, physically constrained, yet mentally expansive. Religion governs moral life with uncompromising force. The Church of Scotland exerts profound influence, shaping behavior, law, and education. Ministers thunder from pulpits against sin and moral decay, even as the city around them strains under overcrowding and inequality. Yet education flourishes. Edinburgh's universities and informal learning circles attract thinkers who question long-held assumptions, planting the seeds of intellectual revolution. As dawn breaks over the castle rock, light spills across slate roofs and narrow closes. Bells ring, shutters open, and another day begins in a city standing at the threshold of reinvention. Beneath the weight of history, Edinburgh stirs, uneasy, crowded, but alive with possibility. By mid-century, Edinburgh has become a paradox, impoverished in appearance, yet rich in ideas. While its streets remain narrow and unsanitary, its minds reach far beyond Scotland's borders. This is the age of the Scottish Enlightenment, and within the city's drawing rooms, taverns, and lecture halls, new ways of understanding the world take shape. Society is rigidly stratified, yet unusually interconnected. Lawyers, physicians, philosophers, and printers form a rising professional class, gaining influence once reserved for aristocracy. Figures like David Hume and Adam Smith walk the same streets as craftsmen and porters, their ideas circulating through pamphlets and conversations. Knowledge becomes a currency, and Edinburgh trades in it generously. Commerce expands despite the city's limitations. Trade routes link Scotland to the wider British Empire, bringing sugar, tobacco, and textiles through ports like Leith. Merchants grow wealthy, though much of that wealth is invested cautiously, shaped by memories of economic failure and political instability. The scars of the Darien scheme still linger, reminding citizens of the risks of ambition. Power, though officially distant in London, still manifests locally. Town councils regulate trade, enforce morality, and oversee public works. Justice is swift and often severe, reinforcing social order. Public punishments draw crowds, serving as both warning and spectacle. Crime flourishes in the city's darkest corners, fed by poverty and overcrowding, yet the growing middle class pushes for reform, order, and rational governance. Religion continues to exert a powerful grip, but it now faces intellectual challenge. Enlightenment thought questions superstition and absolute authority, promoting reason, observation, and human progress. This tension creates friction within families and institutions. Ministers debate philosophers, and faith adapts, sometimes uneasily, to the march of modern thought. The Jacobite risings of 1715 and 1745 shake the city profoundly. When Charles Edward Stuart marches south, Edinburgh watches anxiously as loyalties fracture. Though the city ultimately avoids destruction, the aftermath is decisive. The defeat of the Jacobite cause weakens clan power and accelerates integration into the British state. Edinburgh emerges more stable, yet more firmly bound to a new political reality. Daily life remains demanding. Women manage households, businesses, and informal economies, their labor essential but often unrecognized. Children work early, apprenticed to trades, or sent to labor alongside adults. Education offers a path upward, but only for a fortunate few. The city is harsh, yet resilient, its people adaptive, resourceful, and deeply proud. As pressures mount, so does the desire for change. Overcrowding reaches crisis levels, disease spreads, and the old town strains under its own weight. Visionaries begin to imagine something radical, expansion beyond the medieval core. Plans are drawn for a new district, spacious and orderly, reflecting Enlightenment ideals in stone. Edinburgh stands on the edge of transformation. Conflict has shaped it, ideas have energized it, and necessity now demands reinvention. The latter decades of the 18th century mark Edinburgh's defining transformation. What began as an intellectual movement now reshapes the physical city itself. The decision to build the new town is more than an urban project. It is a declaration of identity, a statement that Edinburgh will no longer be constrained by its medieval past. Across the drained Norloch, wide avenues and elegant squares rise in deliberate contrast to the chaos of the old town. Georgian architecture introduces symmetry, light, and order. Homes are built for air and privacy, reflecting Enlightenment values of balance and reason. The city expands northward, its elite migrating across the valley, leaving behind the dense tenements that once housed all classes together. This migration changes Edinburgh forever. Social divisions become spatial, wealth and poverty separated by geography. Yet the old town does not disappear. It remains a center of memory, tradition, and resilience, even as neglect deepens its hardships. The city now contains two worlds, one rooted in the past, the other reaching toward the future. Edinburgh's reputation spreads across Europe. Known as the Athens of the North, it becomes a beacon of learning and philosophy. Universities flourish, printing presses multiply, and ideas born in Edinburgh influence economics, science, and political theory far beyond Scotland's borders. The city's thinkers help shape the modern world, even as their streets still echo with the sounds of carts and church bells. The legacy of the 1700s is not without cost. Industrialization looms, promising opportunity but also upheaval. Traditional ways of life fade and inequality persists. Yet the foundations laid during this century, intellectual freedom, civic planning, cultural confidence, endure. As the century closes, Edinburgh stands transformed. No longer merely a former capital adjusting to loss, it has redefined itself as a center of thought, design, and resilience. Its skyline tells the story: ancient fortress, medieval sprawl, and Enlightenment geometry existing side by side. The city's greatest achievement is not stone or street, but identity. In the crucible of union, conflict, and overcrowding, Edinburgh discovers its voice. It learns that power can reside in ideas, that progress can rise from constraint, and that history is not erased by change, but carried forward. As twilight settles over the city, lamps glow along the new town's avenues while shadows deepen in the old town's closes. Together, they form a single narrative, a city shaped by tension, elevated by intellect, and forever marked by the transformative century that forged modern Edinburgh.